StarCast 5, presented by CarShield, July 29th to 31st in Nashville, Tennessee at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Loaded with stage shows including Renee Paquette's Sessions with the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, Soraya, Turning the Page, The Horsemen reunite on stage for one last ride, and Bret Hart's look back at 30 years later on his SummerSlam Classic. And of course, StarCast will be capped off by Ric Flair's Last Match. Follow the story leading up to the last match over at RicFlairsLastMatch.com. Tickets and information available at StarCast.com. StarCast 5, July 29th to 31st in Nashville, gearing up to be a huge event you don't want to miss. Amazing stage shows and live wrestling with shows from Black Label Pro, GCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and of course, Ric Flair's Last Match, which has an amazing lineup of talent from all over the wrestling landscape. Headlined by Ric Flair's Last Match, and you can follow the story leading up to the match over at RicFlairsLastMatch.com. We've got new episodes Mondays at 6:05 Eastern. For tickets and more information, go to StarCast.com.
Of Matt Hardy, presented to you exclusively by Podcast Heat and adfreeshows.com. I, of course, am Jon Alba, joined by the woken one, the broken one, the spoken one, Mr. Matt Hardy.
V1!
I've got a feeling we're going to talk a little bit about V1 here today, Matt Hardy. How are you, my friend?
I am feeling very good, and I feel like this episode is going to have a lot of mattitude, maybe a double dose of mattitude.
Be a great episode. I can't wait for it. Last week we had a chance to talk about the Bucks of Youth, the Young Bucks, and boy howdy, Matt, that was a lot of fun going back and looking through your run with them and watching that match back. That match was really, really great. I thought getting a piece of that rise to the top that we saw from the Young Bucks on our podcast was really important to telling their story.
Yeah, I greatly enjoyed watching that match back. I honestly can't remember the last time I ever watched it back, if I ever have watched it back. But it was very cool, especially the fact that we did the whole swap out Jeff Hardy. Willow comes in, back to Jeff Hardy during that match. I really enjoyed doing that whenever that was a thing. We were doing that a lot.
It was a really great episode. You should go check out in the archives right now, ExtremeHardy.com, where of course you can find our entire archive of episodes. Man, we're at like the episode 30 mark here. This is crazy.
Look at that.
I can't believe how time has been flying with you, man. Did you ever think this is where you'd be a year ago?
No, I wouldn't expect to have this podcast, especially 30 episodes deep and some episodes that have really been beloved. I'm very happy and I'm very honored to be in this position. So thank you very much, Mr. Alba.
Thank you, man. You took a chance on some rando DM and gave me a call. I said, I just need 5 minutes of your time, man. And I appreciated those 5 minutes very much. So
5 minutes turned into 30 episodes.
So, and counting. So we appreciate you guys. And of course, as you're listening to this, StarCast is underway in Nashville, and Matt Hardy, you and I, we're going to be the headliner heading into Ric Flair's Last Match, but it's not too late to get your tickets or to order this on Fight TV. 4 o'clock, July 31st. You and I, buddy, we are live on pay-per-view, taking the extreme life of Matt Hardy on stage. How excited are you, man?
I'm hyped, man. This is going to be a lot of fun to be there live, do this panel. You can check it on Fight TV, and you should. It's going to be a hell of a day. I mean, all these amazing podcasts. There's going to be so much great storytelling going on. And then speaking of storytelling, we get to see the epic last match of one of the GOATs. You know, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, is going to have his final match. And he promises, with his fingers crossed, this is going to be his truly final match.
Yeah, that's always a caveat in professional wrestling. You have to,
but of course,
you have to throw that in there. But it's going to be a great show. I had an opportunity to interview Carlos Cabrera and Hugo Savinovich, the iconic WWE announce team. They're going to be on the call for the Spanish announce team on this show. those guys seem like an absolute blast. I don't know if you ever got to spend time with them in WWE during your run there, but
I did. I have. And I spent a lot of time with Hugo too. When Hugo was doing promotion on South America, worked Santiago for Hugo many, many times. We had a ton of sold out shows. One of the coolest one of the coolest Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy versus Young Bucks match took place there too, which was very, very cool. And that's when like Broken Brilliance and the Broken Hardys were at their height. So it was really hype. And one thing I can say about Hugo that I'll always be grateful for him bringing us to Santiago, it allowed myself and wife and also Maxwell to go to Easter Island. And that is the most magical experience I've ever had. It's the coolest vacation ever. The only place that really flies out of there is Santiago. So we were in Santiago. We came down 4 days early, and then we spent 4 days over on Easter Island. It's a 4-hour flight from there, but it's a truly magical place. Now, the Moai have always had a hold on me since I visited Easter Island.
I'll tell you what, man, the Hardy Boys were pretty over, but there is nothing in the history of wrestling that has been more over than the Spanish announce table. The Spanish announce table always finds its way into the action. And boy, howdy, they asked me kindly to not put that juju on them that the Spanish announce table could be broken at Ric Flair's last match. So Ric Flair's last match, man, Fight TV, go check that out. And we hope that you join us on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy live.
Yeah.
As we wrap up StarCast, man. I'm going to be all over StarCast with the different Fight TV stuff, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and we really encourage you to go check it out. And I know you'll be hanging with some fans during StarCast too. It's just so crazy how there's such a market for this, where all these wrestlers from all these companies come together for this super weekend, piggybacking off SummerSlam. It's awesome. It's a celebration of the industry, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, and it is a melting pot of so many different talents from so many different promotions. And it's just a really, really cool evening. And I'm super excited. Like Sunday morning, starting at 9 a.m., I'm going to be doing a meet and greet. And I can't wait to meet everyone in Nashville. And then hopefully they'll all stick around and check us out as we go on right before Ric Flair's last match card starts, doing a live Extreme Life of Matt Hardy panel and podcast.
Yeah. Do you enjoy getting a chance to catch up with some of the wrestlers that you probably haven't seen in a long time at these big panels?
Absolutely. That's one of the coolest things about doing like cons or big signings. You see guys you just haven't seen in years, and you just, you hit it off like you saw them last week. It's cool, but like wrestling is very much like that. There's guys that you work with for years upon years upon years, and you don't see them for a few years, and whenever you see them again, you like pick up like you never left off, like you haven't missed any time together. So it's great. There's truly is a real brotherhood in pro wrestling.
I want to ask you this genuinely, and you can tell the truth here. Do you recognize fans that come up to you multiple times over the years? So if like a fan will see you 10 years ago, then they see you maybe a few years after that, then they come and see you again at a convention. Do you start to form a bond with some of those fans?
Sometimes. I mean, there's some guys that that you recognize that are very persistent in coming to your appearances or your signings, and you kind of do form a bond with them. I mean, that's not an outlandish question. It's a real thing, and it has happened.
That's super cool. Well, StarCast, go get your tickets now. If you haven't already, it's not too late. And Fight TV, that's where you're going to find Matt Hardy and I leading into Ric Flair's last match. Super, super cool. And I'm very, very excited for it. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, as a matter of fact.
It's going to be a fun weekend.
Yes, it is. And I said, as a matter of fact, Matt, because we are talking about Matt Facts on this episode. This was a Matt Hardy idea here to take a look at some of the iconic Matt Facts that we saw on WWE television over the years, and in hindsight, determine if they are in fact Matt Fact or if they are Matt Fiction. Some of them may have been completely made up. I don't know. You'll tell us. Some of them may no longer be true, and some may still hold true. And we asked some of you guys to submit your Matt Facts. And we're going to get into those here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. But without further ado, we have a Matt Fact of our own. So hit us with it, my friend.
Matt Fact. Matt takes great pride in creating Matt Facts.
He does. I know he does. And that's why this thing became a phenomenon. It was a no-doubter when we started this podcast that every episode had to have a Matt Fact. Why was that important to you?
Matt Facts were a big deal for me. They were a big part of the ascension of Matt Hardy as a singles competitor, and just the whole presentation of the Sensei of Mattitude, the Matt Hardy version 1 character, is really what helped me succeed, as well as obviously the performance I was putting in, and showing that I was very different than like the original way I was branded as being a, adrenaline junkie or daredevil as a Hardy Boy. I was much more of a character performer. So the Matt facts were like the chef's kiss on top of the Matt Hardy version 1 character.
We talked a lot about the V1 character in our archives, extremehardy.com. I love that episode. You gave amazing insight into how that character came to be. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going off the top of my noggin here, but you said it was Kevin Dunn who was the one that came to you with the idea about Matt Fax. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had the idea about having my entrance as a window media player, which sounds so funny because that's such outdated terminology now. But a window media player is kind of what I thought we could do, like with the whole computer version 1 internet thing during that time. And they were kind of like designing what it was going to be. And they said, hey, how about we do this one little box and you can put like an interesting factoid in it every single week. Maybe we'll put a couple of them up. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds great. Thank you so much. So I would guess that was a Kevin Dunn idea because he was pretty hands-on with that. So yeah, I would give them 3 or 4 Matt facts every single week and they would select 2.
What is your all-time favorite internet browser, Matt Hardy? You just said Windows Media Player is a little outdated. So are you a Chrome guy? Are you an Internet Explorer guy? Mozilla, Firefox? What is it?
I think I'm a Chrome guy.
Okay.
Right. I enjoy Chrome.
Okay. Did you have an AOL Instant Messenger account at any point? An AIM account?
Oh my God. I feel like I did. We had I remember the first computer that I ever got. And right before I had moved out of, when we were still teenagers, right before I had moved out of our dad's house, we would actually plug it into the phone connection, and there's a the dial-up connection. And when I first got to my house, I actually used that a little bit too after I built my house until I was able to get some sort of HughesNet internet, which was still brutal at the time. And not until Starlink came out, the whole Elon Musk thing. I actually have good internet now because of that, because it's actually satellites in space. But I mean, I live in a place where there is no grounded wired internet coming to houses. I mean, I live out in the boonies, in a very podunk area, obviously. So I do remember all that. I remember having AOL and I remember connecting, and I feel like I did have that messenger. Did I have like a special name or something? I don't think I can remember that, but I do remember the early days of dial-up internet. It was brutal. Looking back now, I don't know how I could tolerate it.
Dude, well, first off, there's a reason we do this podcast while you're on the road, because we're mooching off that hotel Wi-Fi. You better believe that.
Yes.
That's number one.
Correct.
Number two, I don't want to make Mrs. Hardy upset. Which, by the way, let's put this out there. Next week's episode is going to be about Rebby Hardy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, she's celebrating her birthday.
Yeah, that's right.
So
we gotta hook that one up. We'll get that one from the Hardy compound.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a special one. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah,
one.
For sure.
But it's fine. I just ask about AIM because AIM and AOL.
Yeah,
and this is a nice little predecessor to our conversation about Matt Fax and getting ahead of the internet. It cannot be understated how important AOL chat boards and fan forums were to feeding interest into wrestling in the Attitude Era. They were
100%.
Huge. Mm-hmm. Where Sonny and China were some of the most downloaded people in the history of AOL.
That was Sonny's claim to fame for the longest time. She was the most downloaded celebrity, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. In like 1996, 1997. And then China was quickly behind her as well.
Right.
So this was massive in the culture at the time, and everyone had an AIM account. And I know I've seen stories about this where wrestlers would get AIM accounts and they would like troll fan boards under an anonymous screen name. There's a story, Will Washington, who has a podcast on Fightful, told this, and I was able to confirm this personally, that the day that Randy Orton turned heel and joined Evolution, they had suspicion that this AIM account in this wrestling chat board was actually Randy Orton. And he said something along the lines of like, blue sweater, look for the wink, or something like that. And on Raw that night, Randy Orton wore a blue sweater and like winked when he turned. And then that account disappeared for years and never showed up again until Will was able to confirm with Randy Orton via DM this past year that was in fact his account.
Wow.
20 plus years earlier, trolling wrestling message boards.
That's
Do
amazing.
you have any recollection of wrestlers fucking with fans a little bit like that?
Not really. I mean, I didn't have a big online presence at that time just because it wasn't accessible for me. You know, like I had a computer once we start traveling and I would take that on the road with me and whatnot. But no, I wasn't a consistent computer person then. You know, I tried to keep up with the technology, obviously, which was happening because I knew that was going to turn into something that would supplement professional wrestling and the platform in general. But no, back then I didn't. But I see too, a lot of people had AOL screen names of like with V1, their name and V1. That was a big deal. Like the V1 thing really caught on. You know, I know a lot of people would say like Hardy Boys or like Team X Stream. You know, there's so many great stories fans have told me throughout the years from, you know, their messengers and their name being related to the Hardy Boys in some capacity.
Producer Dom mentions that Tony Khan was such an ECW mark. And he used to message with Blue Meanie on AIM. So again, I'm telling you, man, pro wrestlers had a presence just trolling along with fans. That is Matt Fact and not Matt Fiction. But as you said, the WWE production team comes up with this concept for V1 where you're going to have these little factoids in this box.
Right.
What do you think the Matt Facts did in terms of helping get the character over to the audience?
I think they were able to show a little bit of my kind of quirky, also creative personality. And most of the Matt Facts were based off some sort of reality. Some of them are a little outlandish, but the majority, 90% of the Matt Facts are based off actions or likes and dislikes that I truly have in my real life. So I feel like it just helped the people become a little more familiar with me, Matt Hardy, the person and the character.
Do you remember what the first Matt Fact was?
If I am not mistaken, was the first Matt Fact Matt has beat Undertaker twice or 2 straight times?
On October 17th, 2002, we saw it for the first time. Matt has beaten Undertaker 2 straight times.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about that in long form in our V1 episode, but that feels like such a great way to get under the skin.
Oh, yeah.
Of a guy like the Undertaker.
Yeah, very, very much so. And the most iconic and famous Matt Fact ever, it's pretty undisputed, is Matt strongly dislikes mustard. I can't tell you how many people I have had, how many people I've had recite that to me verbatim because it stuck out in such a strong way. It's not like Matt hates mustard. Matt strongly dislikes mustard. It's such a memorable Matt Fact. By far, the most famous Matt Fact of them all.
So let's play some Matt Fact and Matt Fiction. Matt Fact or Matt Fiction. Is that still true to this day?
Yes, that is a Matt Fact. There are times where sometimes a sandwich or hamburger would accidentally get messed up and they would put mustard on it, but I just won't even take it back or return it. It's just mustard is fine. I can deal with mustard. I just don't enjoy the taste of it. It doesn't supplement my sandwiches when it's on it. I'm just not into mustard.
Have you tried different forms of mustard, like a honey mustard or a spicy brown mustard?
Yeah, I have, and I like those better. Just like straight up mustard is just I'm not a huge fan of it.
Okay.
I don't hate it. I just strongly dislike it.
Okay.
Honey mustard's great. Actually, Wolfie, my second oldest son, got to choose where we ate the other day, and he picked out Cracker Barrel. And every time at Cracker Barrel, without fail, I get the grilled chicken tenderloins. And I always get honey mustard to dip them in, and I love the honey mustard.
Well, you can only go to Cracker Barrel as long as Michael Hayes isn't there because they ain't got a bar.
That's right. No bar. No bar, no stop. Where the hell's the alcohol? No more stopping at these bullshit restaurants that don't have a bar. You kids.
All right. October 24th, we got 2 Matt Facts here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with this one. Number 1. Mattitude is practiced in 100 countries. Is that Matt Fact or Matt Fiction?
I would think that's a Matt Fact because there were 100 countries I think that had access to seeing Matt Facts, and I feel like they would they would subscribe to all of them. So I'm going to go with a fact for that one.
Okay. Matt Hardy's bedtime is 4 a.m. Now, I will venture to guess. That at one point this was 100% true.
100% true.
I would guess that, and you stay up pretty late. You and I talk pretty late at night sometimes, but I'd venture to say that it's more 1:30, 2 a.m. now.
Yeah, my typical bed. I'll be honest, and maybe I'm showing my age here, but I want to be in bed by 1 o'clock for sure. And typically, if I can get in bed at 11:30 or midnight, I'm good with that because I know, especially if I'm at home, I covet my Tuesday night sleep, as we have said here in the past. That was a mad fact. But I know I'm going to be getting that wake-up call like at 6:37, 7:30, maybe 8 at the latest. And my wife's going to be going, get this damn baby right now. I got to get some sleep. I've been up with her all night. So I know I have to get my sleep in advance.
Was it 4 a.m. at one point?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I was up all night, especially when I was young, single, Matt. Without a doubt, 4 o'clock, sleep till 11 or noon. That was just my schedule. As opposed to, now it is, go to bed at midnight or 1 and be up at 7:30 or 8. It's my typical schedule.
The thunder rolled for Matt Hardy back in the day.
Yeah.
So I get that entirely. All right. October 31st, Halloween, which I know Mrs. Hardy's a big Halloween fan, by the way.
Oh my God. They've already started decorating our house for Halloween. The boys got her fired up. And she went ahead and started pulling out all the Halloween decorations. It's like, Jesus, it's July. It's still August, September, October, and it's the damn last day of October. You're insane, these Halloween people.
But I have a good friend who's a Halloween person. I showed it to her, and she's like, oh, my God. I need that. The decor, the vibe. I know your little girl's got that little Addams Family vibe going on in her nursery.
Right.
Man, that Rebby Hardy, that's your carpenter right there. That's the girl you want to get checking out for all your interior design needs. I'll tell you that. All right, let's see here. So October 31st, Matt Hardy always got more candy than his brother. Matt fact or Matt fiction?
Probably Matt fiction. I feel like it was pretty equally distributed between us both. If we were out trick-or-treating, that was absolutely one to kind of get underneath the skin of wrestling fans. Like, hey, I know all you guys love Jeff Hardy. He's still a good guy. He's still a babyface, but I'm the better one. They always choose me. I get the most candy. So I'll coin that one as Matt fiction.
What is Matt Hardy's favorite piece of candy?
Oh, boy. I'm not a big candy person right now. I would maybe even say like maybe a Reese's cup.
Oh, good
Something
choice.
along those lines. Something very simple.
Yeah. What about Jeff Hardy? What was Jeff coveting back in his Halloween days?
He was a big candy eater when he was young. I know. I'm not sure. Probably anything chocolate.
Did you guys do any tandem costumes? Any brotherly costumes growing up?
We didn't do it. We didn't do a ton of it. I know there's this real famous picture we have where I was obsessed with robots when I was probably 5 or 6. And I'm dressed up as a robot, and Jeff is 3 or 4, and he's dressed up as a witch. And that's really what we want to be, just a witch for Halloween, which is one of the funniest pictures that we have.
That explains a lot, I feel like, given with what we saw from Jeff Hardy over the years. Your second mad fact is Matt has seen all the Friday the 13th movies. Now, there have been more since that came out. So does that remain true to this day?
That is a mad fact. Yes.
Okay.
I have. Oh my God. I mean, the first run of the first 7 or 8 movies, I really enjoyed. Even as absurd as it was, the Jason Goes to Manhattan, whenever the thing with New York City was just so outrageous. And I got to the point where I was almost entertained by it. Just imagine I actually like campy, weird, quirky stuff.
No way.
Yeah. So I did. Even the Jason Goes to Manhattan, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Okay. November the 2nd, Matt likes English muffins. That's a lot of carbs there, my friend.
It is. That was a Matt fact. Anytime I would go to Europe or to England, more specifically to the UK, they would always serve us English muffins, and I always enjoyed them. They had a unique flavor to them, so I was okay with it. I would never eat them here in the United States. That was strictly a Matt fact when I was on European Soul.
I see. Well, that was probably in England. I would.
It was a match against Booker T. Yeah.
There you go.
So obviously it was one of the insurrection pay-per-views I want to say.
Oh, okay.
But it was a Matt Hardy versus Booker T match. And I definitely wanted to put a little bit of a local flavor into the Matt Fact.
Dude, your recall is legitimately insane. I tell people this all the time when trying to get them to listen to this podcast. I'm like, if there's one thing you're going to be blown away with, it's Matt's attention to detail and recall.
Oh my!
Remembering November 2nd, 2002, you faced Booker T in England, and that was the Matt Fact. That's the secret sauce right there, my friend. So
I tell you, you should have caught me like 10 years ago. It has declined, and Shane Helm says this as well. It's like we have
that's because he's older than you
for 30 years. I mean, he's extremely older than me. But like we're going, my recall's still pretty good, but it's just not what it used to be. It used to be pristine. So it's okay. It's okay. It's manageable.
One of the reasons that your recall is so good, Matt Hardy, is because you're taking those AG1s every single day. And I know that you would love to spread the good word of that product with one delicious scoop. You got your AG1s in your bloodstream with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens that help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients supporting your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all the things all in one. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. And that's why AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. And your subscription comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which is so important to add as these dog days of summer turn into fall and winter and we start getting less sunlight. Matt Hardy, I know that as the North Carolina winter approaches, you're ensuring you're getting all that vitamin D from AG1.
Oh, I'm going to get it all. And you're right, AG1, it has definitely enhanced my memory and it has enhanced my recall. So that's just another benefit. I can't recommend them enough.
You're feeling good every single day. And why wouldn't you? Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover it. And it cost him $100 a day. So he created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutritional routine on your own. And that's the thing, guys. This is a gut health product, but it makes you feel better all the way around. And that's why Matt Hardy's recall is good, because he's feeling good. And right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health.
Easy.
So easy. And to make it easy, Matt Hardy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and a bunch of free travel packs with your first purchase. There's a certain number of
how many packs? How many packs? I think 5, 5. AG1s.
All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Hardy. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/Hardy to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And we thank them for sponsoring this podcast. Oh man, dude. I had my AG1s this morning and I was not feeling in a mood today to do anything productive. And then I went for a 4.5-mile walk today. I was like,
the AG1s, they helped you kick out.
Dude, I was like, this is very un-Jon Alba like, but I was definitely into it. So
I love to hear it.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back on track here. November 7th. Matt hates cold weather. I venture to guess that is Matt fact.
That is 100% Matt fact. Matt definitely hates cold weather. Yes.
I'm surprised that you never considered relocating to a year-round warmer temperature location.
It went through my mind at times, just because we had that large piece of property and we lost our mother early. Jeff said, I think we should stay here with our dad. We can build our houses. We'll have plenty of land. We'll inherit the land. And he ended up selling me on that, because there was a time where I did think about like, oh, so many wrestlers go to Florida. Maybe I should go to Florida. And North Carolina has pretty good weather. I mean, it is hot in the summer. It is humid, but I don't mind that. I will take that any day over freezing cold and snow. And our winters are pretty mild, so I don't have too much to bitch about there.
Matt scored 1330 on his SATs.
What do you think? Is that Matt fact or Matt fiction?
I'd venture to guess that's Matt fact.
That is a Matt fact, and it was very much driven by the math side of the SAT scores. I was almost perfect on that. Math was definitely my strong point.
Jesus, that was
Matt,
not mine at
Math,
all.
math was much stronger than my verbal stuff. So I enjoyed that. And it's funny because you're just like my wife. She's terrible at math. She constantly asks me like, oh my God, can you do this? Can you do this equation? What is this? What is this? Add this. All the time. There'll be times where I'm sitting on the road and I'll go, oh my God, what is this plus so-and-so plus times whatever? Just like something that's like, I mean, you can't do this. Don't you have like a calculator and shit? Sure, I'll do it for you. But she has a lot of faith in my answers.
Well, from this podcast, counting and money and all that, the numbers, the numerals, that's not my strong suit. So I'm glad that you have that to balance out things because I appreciate it. That's a hell of a score. See, when I took the SATs, it was out of 2,400, but I think it's back to 1,600 now.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, there was another component to it. There was reading comprehension and a writing comprehension, and the writing is where I did strongest. So that helped boost my score. I enhanced my score.
I had on the math side, I had a 700 plus.
Damn.
Yeah, it was high 700.
Okay. Here's one that I know is fact. Matt was the Fear Factor champion.
That is a Matt fact.
I pitched this to you just earlier this week as we record this.
Yeah.
I think we have to do a watch along of that episode of Fear Factor.
I'd definitely be down for it. That was a fun. It was over 3 days. Each shoot was a day. Obviously, it seems like the show is very condensed when they edit everything together. But it was a fun 3 days that we had, and it was one of those deals where it was kind of exciting because you didn't have any idea. They were super kayfabe about everything. Even whenever they would take you to wherever the location was going to be, they would not give you any kind of insight in what you're going to be doing. What's going to be happening. So it was a lot of fun.
Seeing you stomach what you stomached on that made me sick to my stomach. So I can't wait to get into that. And that's one of the times that Matt Hardy beat Jeff Hardy too. So I think
you're right. Yeah,
that should count on your record.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Matt loves guacamole. I believe that entirely.
Yeah, that is absolutely a Matt fact.
Okay.
And that has never changed. It's been very consistent all the way throughout. I love a good guacamole, especially if one of my big favorite things currently, actually, or there's a local Mexican restaurant near us. Actually, on my way to the airport, it's about 10 or 12 minutes from my house, and they have street tacos where they have grilled chicken inside the street tacos and just like chopped onions and cilantro.
Oh yeah.
I'll get me one of those, and I'll get guacamole on the side. Put a tad of rice, a tad of beans, and some guac on those. Oh my God, they're incredible. A lot of times I'll just take one tortilla and dump all three in, and I'll make it like into a little bowl and eat it. But yeah, I'm a huge guacamole fan.
That's awesome. Street tacos, man. Yeah. Living in Orlando, they were plentiful and there were many to be found. So I was all about that. I like hearing that. All right. November 17th, Matt only drinks low-fat chocolate milk.
I think we can call that Matt fiction. Because that was a thing for a while that I was doing it. And I was just, this would be a funny Matt fact because I'm sure it would piss people off, think that you're on some sort of strict diet or whatever, which I'm not a big chocolate milk drinker at all. But there was a period that I did go through where all I was drinking was low-fat chocolate milk, especially when I was like dieting real hard. During this time, I was trying to get the best shape I could possibly get in. So there have been times I have drank regular chocolate milk and not low-fat chocolate milk.
The next one here is an internet favorite. Matt keeps the room temperature at a toasty 75 degrees.
And it's so funny that used to be true. I sound like a psycho looking back at that. That's Matt fiction now. That is one that has definitely changed. I used to love to get into a room and I would like set up at 75 and then just not wear clothes in the room and just stay naked and cool.
Naked.
And naked and just relax in this 75-degree room. That was true for the longest time. And I'm like, oh my God, now I like to turn it down so I can get
all the way
down, get underneath the covers and like cuddle up, wrap yourself up like a little burrito. Yeah, that has changed drastically. But I used to be like a psycho. I used to keep it hot in the room.
Bro, there's nothing better than a cold hotel room. That's right in the money.
With a good bed and mattress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can't beat it.
All right, November 23rd. Matt's IQ is 139.
That was a Matt fact at one time. One time I
At
did
one
have
time, it was a fact.
at one time. I have been through a lot of wear and tear since then. I don't know if it would still match up to that, as I just talked about. My recall isn't as strong as it used to be, but I'm still doing okay in the big scheme of things.
Okay. The next week, Matt has been to Plymouth Rock. This is a Thanksgiving edition.
You're right. And Matt has been to Plymouth Rock. That is a Matt fact. And guess the two other people that I went to Plymouth Rock with.
When did you go? Let me ask you that.
Probably 2 years before this Matt fact, maybe 3 years before this Matt fact. And no, even further than that. Because this was 2002, right? Is that where we're at?
This is 02.
So it would have been a little over 3 years before then.
So I would venture to guess that it was Shane Helms and Jeff Hardy.
It was Jeff Hardy and Michael Hayes.
Michael Hayes.
How ironic is that? Yeah.
What did a Michael Hayes trip to Plymouth Rock look like?
Hell of a deal. I want to say it is when we were doing. We used to have these small shows where we do the like the tent shows. That's what it was called. That you would do like right on the coast of the Northeast, right? I'm trying to think of even like what the it's been so long since I've done them. I can't even remember what they were, but they were called
like Bangor, Maine and stuff like that.
The tent shows, like Cape Cod, a couple places like that. Well, you would drive. We do double shots on the weekends, and it was one where we happened to be right in the same area where Plymouth Rock was, and we had about an hour to kill because we were on first. We got in the car and we drove to where the next spot was, and we ended up going to Plymouth Rock for some odd reason. And it was myself, Jeff, and Michael Hayes. And I remember we took a picture with it, which was very, very wild. That Matt fact is very hard to find. I've been looking for that one. I haven't found one with any kind of quality to it that I could actually rip and then post in my thread. That's a Matt fact that has been very evasive and has eluded me.
We'll try to get on that and try to get that to you.
That'd be great.
That must have been a hell of a trip. Just the notion of Michael Hayes maybe in a pilgrim outfit.
Yeah, he was ready to eat with forks, knives, and spoons.
Forks, knives, and spoons, but they didn't have a bar at Plymouth Rock, so I don't know how that would have gone over. Well, you also said that Matt believes that Thanksgiving is a boring holiday. So I'm gonna take a guess on this one because I see both sides of this.
Okay,
I will say I think Thanksgiving is a little bit of an overrated holiday. Thanksgiving food I think can really hit the spot, but it's also generally not super enigmatic, flavorful food. It's very dense, and I can see why some people would pass on it. At the same time, I think it would be the mark of a great heel to shit all over Thanksgiving. So is this Matt fact or Matt fiction?
I will say at this time it was definitely Matt fact, and I realized it would get under people's skins as well, but because then being a young single dude with kind of, just living life, like just having Thanksgiving, like being thankful and getting all your family together. Like I didn't have a big family. It was like, I don't know, it's just kind of boring. Like everything's closed, like everything's closed on that day. I would hate holidays just where everything closed, especially if it's not a cool holiday where you're not getting stuff. But as I got older and once I had kids and a family, I know they look forward to it. And now my wife is like really into Thanksgiving. She like cooks these outrageous, huge meals and whatnot. It's a lot more enjoyable when you're there and you have a family and like you're kind of teaching them traditions and molding them into the human beings you want to be. I think Thanksgiving means a lot more. It's not as boring.
This past Thanksgiving was my first Thanksgiving that I was not on air on television in like 7+ years. So my Thanksgiving for the last 7+ years was like Boston Market. So it was nice to get something a little different this time around. So I do value it a little more now. All right. I want to go a little rapid fire here with some of these because we got so many to get to. So let's go with this one. Matt is a great juggler.
Used to be a Matt fact. I haven't done it in quite a while. And also sometimes my downward depth perception is bad from whenever I broke my orbital bone and nose and everything else. Sometimes when I'm down. So you have to look down when juggling a lot too. So I'm sure I can't juggle as good as I once could in my prime, at my peak.
Matt is his father's favorite child. Were you the legend's favorite child?
That was a Matt fact at first because I always made good grades. Jeff made bad grades.
Okay.
I was always like an A+ student in everything I did, and he would always say, "Jeffrey, why can't you be more like Matthew? Why can't you be more like Matthew?" But then, like later on, like Jeff became this big rock star wrestler who was like super over and popular the world around. So maybe it changed some in my dad's eyes then. But growing up, because I was the one that always made straight A's, and sometimes Jeff would come home with very poor marks. I was his favorite son back in the day.
Well, this next one you confirmed with us on an Ask Matt Anything, but Matt's favorite band is Pearl Jam. We know that is Matt fact.
Yeah.
Matt was always on the honor roll.
That's a Matt fact as well.
Okay. December 19th, 2002. Matt has wrestled in 44 states.
That was true. That was true at the time. I've definitely added more to that. I want to say I'm like at 48 or 49 now.
Do you know which one you haven't?
I feel like I've been there and I've missed the shows. I feel like the only state that I haven't wrestled in now is Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. I had been through their own connections. There's sometimes WWE would do it on the way to Japan. I feel like Hawaii is the only state I haven't wrestled in as of right now.
If any company is crazy enough to do a Hawaii show, it's AEW on TV. So
you're right.
It could happen, my friend.
You're right.
I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility.
And then we could say aloha to any of the states that I've missed because that would complete the set.
That would. December 26th, Matt was the MVP of the 99 No Mercy ladder match. Matt Fact or Matt Fiction?
It might be an exaggerated Matt fact for sure. All four guys were the MVPs, obviously, but I was going to make sure to drive that home and get underneath people's skin as much as possible.
Matt always sticks to his New Year's resolutions.
I do pretty good with it. I am certainly not perfect. I would say that I have attempted to make that a Matt fact.
Okay. Matt loves eggnog, hates fruitcake.
It's a very odd Matt fact, but it is absolutely true.
I can't do eggnog, man.
I really do. I enjoy eggnog, especially like the flavors that I really like. I dig that so much. Fruitcake has just been something I've never had any kind of desire for.
Yeah.
And that ended up being like this was probably posted around New Year's.
Yeah.
Right? It was the holiday season, Christmas, New Year's. Yeah.
Matt knows how to solve a Rubik's Cube.
There was a Matt fact a couple times. There are times where I did have a Rubik's Cube that was messed up, and I would get back to it. But then, like that was pretty much it. I did it a couple times, and then that was it. Then there was no more. The well ran dry, and I would have to take the stickers off and change them to make it work.
Matt always stays awake until sunrise on New Year's.
That used to be a Matt fact. Once again, having children and a legitimate family, that has definitely changed.
It changes.
We used to have this big tradition, especially after we made it in wrestling, and we did it even when we were doing indies. We would go to Myrtle Beach and we would stay up every night. Just whoever our circle of friends were that were together, we would stay up every night until the sun come up on the beach, and that was like our tradition. That was our thing.
That's super fun. I love that.
Yeah.
January 9th, Matt has a heated toilet seat.
Yes, that's a Matt fact, and I still do have it. And I've had the same one that I've had now for like almost 20 years.
That's awesome.
Which is ironic, and it still half-ass works. It should definitely be replaced. But I'll tell you why I became a big mark for heated toilet seats. The first couple times we went to Japan, and I got to work in Japan.
I knew it was Japan.
Yeah, because Japan was even the whole Japanese culture and the way that they acted, and their clothing style, like the fabric that Matt Hardy version 1 wore. A lot of the stuff that I used was pulled from like Japanese culture. So even like I enjoyed that heated toilet seat so much at the hotel. I insisted that was going to be in my master bedroom whenever I built my house. That was one of the first requests I told the contractor.
Matt likes pulp in his orange juice.
That's a Matt fact as well. I really do. I don't get to drink it a lot now because like the kids and my wife do not like it. So I actually like orange juice with a little pulp in it.
Mm-hmm. Matt was in the academically gifted class in elementary school. I'd say that's probably Matt fact based on your track record here.
Yeah, that is a Matt fact. I almost got a 2-for-1 with that one, and Matt was always on the honor roll. I feel like those are pretty related pretty closely.
January 19th was the iconic one. Matt strongly dislikes mustard, which you already told us here. January 25th.
I got to tell you a funny story about that too.
Go ahead.
If you ever go back and watch that video of when I come out, it's so funny. I wind up the V1 as I'm doing it coming out when the Matt strongly dislikes mustard. I want to say it was at a Royal Rumble. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say what date was it?
That was January 19th, 2003.
I wonder, Dom, can you look that up?
I'll confirm that with you right now.
Yeah, I want to say it was a Royal Rumble, but there was a.
It was, in fact, the Royal Rumble in Boston.
All right, good deal. I can't believe I remember that. But I do remember I did a wind up of the V1 so big and so strong, and as I was stepping, there was a little crease where there was a carpet, and I almost ate it and tripped and busted my ass during that. So if you go back and watch that entrance, you'll see me do this wonky V1, and I literally almost toppled myself over because my foot, as I was stepping, got caught on this the little hinge between the carpets.
You know what would have happened if that had gone down, right? You would have been the next Titus World Slide. That would have been all over
maybe so.
TV.
Yeah.
That would have been all over WWE TV.
Titus World Slide. Oh boy.
That was, man, Titus is like the best dude in the world. He's so awesome. And in Tampa, he's legitimately a gigantic superstar.
Yeah.
But that is just an all-time great blooper in wrestling. All-time great. So
yeah, it's amazing. I was there live when it happened. We're like, we were, everybody was terrified that he was dead. Everybody was terrified that he was dead.
I'm trying to laugh, but like, I mean, my goodness, it was wild. But he got back up.
When Titus O'Neil slides underneath the ring, he will kill himself. In JBL's voice.
But he got back up and no-sold it. So
he sure did, yeah.
That was great. If there was one thing memorable about the Saudi Arabia shows, that was certainly it.
Oh, boy,
January 25th, Matt keeps his checkbook balanced.
That was a Matt fact at that time.
Okay.
Now I do not worry about it at all, but I did. I was such a mark for it. My mom always did that when I was young, and I remember I thought that was so cool. And then my dad did as well. He kept that tradition because we were obviously pinching pennies when we were younger. We were very poor. So I remember I thought that was so cool that they did the math, because I'm a big math guy too, as I said earlier, that they would do the math and they kept their checkbook balanced and they knew exactly how much was in their account so they could stay on top of it. And I did that for so long with 2 or 3 different accounts.
January 30th, Matt thinks Shannon has an iota of mattitude.
Yeah, that was a Matt fact because once I brought him in as my Mattitude follower, I thought I could pull some Mattitude out of him.
Iota is a Matt Hardy word. So
that's very much a Matt Hardy word, yeah.
Matt was the longest surviving SmackDown superstar in the Royal Rumble. We'd have to look that up, but I bet that's probably true.
That's a Matt fact.
Okay.
Matt fact, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the best Royal Rumble run that I had.
Here's a very, very 2003 one. Matt has a TV DVD player in his car.
That is absolutely true. So at this point too, I'd bought my other car at this time, but the car I was referring to, there was a CRX. Once I started making money, I actually bought another car. But my CRX, I was able to install in it a little. It would pop out and the screen would lift up and it would do like navigation, but also you could play DVDs. And the guy like rigged it so you could like watch it while you were driving. And I was literally a maniac. So I had a legitimate DVD player in my yellow CRX that I was driving around that I would literally be watching movies as I'm driving. Please.
We do not recommend that.
Do not try this at home.
Do
not ever do that. It was extremely irresponsible. I was a dumb kid. That's a true story. It was supposed to only play like musical DVDs, right? And like, you had to be stopped to actually watch a DVD with video on it. But the guy gimmicked it and rigged it so the car it could like bypass it. It was crazy, man.
The reason I'm laughing so hard is because I hear Jeff in his very just laid back comma. Man, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's
fucking cool, man.
It's fucking cool, man.
Oh, dude, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. That's
Real,
so
real,
great.
real funny story I have to hit real quick. We were driving. Remember how I told you whenever we couldn't always get cars right in the very beginning because I wasn't 25, I was still 24.
Right.
The Headbangers, we'd met them in Smoky Mountain. We were kind of friends with them. We could sign the agreement over and put their names on it, and they could still rent the car for us.
Mhm.
The company, provided for us. There was a time where we were driving super fast, and I remember Mark Henry was behind us. Mark Henry and the crew he was riding with. And as we were driving, all the traffic, like we go around this curve, all the traffic's backed up. There's this huge standstill, like a wreck or whatever. And I'm trying to slam on the brakes, and I can tell like I'm going to rear end the car in front of me. I'm driving. One of the headbangers is in the other side. Jeff's in the back, one of the other headbangers. And I'm sitting there and I try and get off the side of the road. And there's another car that just pulled in front of me on the side of the road. Is that all the cars are like taking off, trying not to rear end one another. And then I end up getting off, going down an exit. And this exit was packed. And I ended up going beside the exit. And you know how like there's railings, the shorter railings that are there that are like kind of protect, that keep the cars. We actually drove up on one and almost like rail slid down this railing. And like Mark Henry just said that he'd slammed on his car and he'd stopped long enough. He said he just saw us go down the exit and pull off the side of the exit and actually pass all these cars. And he just saw us like on this barricade that was beside it, which was, 2 feet high, whatever. And I was trying to just hold it. It was almost like a rail slide, a skateboard. It's so outrageous. It sounds fake, but this was a real story. And I remember the headbangers going, "Oh my God, we're going to die!" Jeff in the back eating a ham biscuit. Squeezes it as tight as he can. It was his hand, but Jeff said, "Hold it steady, Matt." As calm as a motherfucker. And then, like, once we stopped and we got off, Jeff said, they're like, "Oh my God, you said hold it steady, Matt, like you were calm, like cool as a cucumber." We're all like screaming, shitting our pants. And you're saying, and Jeff said, "Oh no," he said, and he let go of the biscuit. He like squished it in his hand. And tell you a funny story, which is true. That rental car that we had and we'd rent it took our gas tank, which was on the bottom, and it like dented it. So the gas tank would only fill up like half full. So we had that car for the rest of the trip, and it would only fill up half full because it was like damaged the middle of the gas tank. It was a crazy story, but totally a true story. Something you'd have to ask the Headbangers or Mark Henry about when you have a chance.
Well, again, guys, carshield.com/podcast.
Yeah.
They got you taken care of.
I wish I would have had Car Shield then. That way we wouldn't have had to pay for this rental that we damaged the gas tank.
All right. Matt always gets more Valentines than his brother.
This Matt fiction, I would say. We probably got an equal amount of Valentines.
All right. There was one I missed, by the way. Matt usually exceeds the speed limit.
In that day, in that time, yeah,
Probably.
that's a Matt fact.
All right. Back to the Valentines here. Matt doesn't send flowers, only gives chocolate.
That's Matt fiction. I didn't do any of that shit. That was a Valentine's Day based Matt fact.
Is Mama Hardy a big flowers fan?
She does. Now I do. I'm required. I'm required for my livelihood is required to get flowers if the time is correct. So yeah, she digs flowers. She digs. I think she digs gifts that you can tell someone has really put thought into.
Sure.
When they try hard. She's one of those.
Sure. Matt is miserable when dieting.
Yeah, that's a Matt fact for sure.
Matt finds Shannon very hard to teach.
That could be considered a Matt fact if you apply it to our characters at that time.
A kayfabe Matt.
Yes,
fact, if you
yes.
Matt is annoyed by snow and ice. I don't think you need to dispel that one. We know that.
Matt fact.
Yes. Matt takes hot tea with milk and sweetener.
Now, this is a good one. That was a Matt fact then for sure. There was a time where I went through a long period of that. But as times have changed, now my jig is I'll take a hot tea with a little bit of sweetener and honey. More honey. I love honey in the hot tea.
Matt's pants are a size 34 in the waist. Is that still true to this day?
That's a Matt fact where it was definitely a 34 then. Sometimes I go 36. I can still slip into a 34 though. And actually, right now, the last couple of weeks, I've been dieting pretty hard as it is anyway, as I was saying earlier. So I will make that a Matt fact where I'll 100% be in 34.
Very nice. Very nice. Matt thinks sweet potatoes are delicious.
Matt fact.
I believe that. Matt enjoys looking at pictures in Playboy. This has to be Matt fiction because Playboy no longer does pictures. They no longer do the spreads anymore. But was it a Matt fact at one time?
It was a funny Matt fact at the time, I think. Yeah.
I got you. How weird was that when your coworkers were posing in Playboy?
Not weird at all.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't want to say. It was just like another day at the office. I would
Another
say.
day at the office.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Certainly, none of the boys were misbehaving with any of that.
Oh, and the boys never, never, ever.
Go to hell. Okay.
Oh, you think the boys are misbehaving? Go to hell, Jon Alba.
Matt considers himself a sex symbol. Mr. Shawn Michaels over here.
There you have it. That's probably a Matt fiction in the big scheme of things. But I think that made a great Matt fact for the character at that time.
Well, we know that Gregory Shane Helms did this, but apparently Matt has never locked his keys in the car.
That is a Matt fact.
Okay.
I am still like so anal about that. Like every time I get out of my car, I make sure my keys are in my hands, and I do the same things. My wife, not so much. Every time I use the credit card, I make sure it's in my wallet, and even when I leave, a lot of times I'll check it or whatever. But I'm so very anal about little things like that, leaving things or locking your car, making sure you have the keys in your hand before you lock it.
Matt hates cleaning his carpet.
That was a Matt fact at this time. So when I first built my house, I thought carpet was the jam, and I got it everywhere in the house. And as you can imagine, my wife thought it was absurd, obviously, and she's like got rid of all the carpet. I think virtually all the carpet is now gone. We have different floors.
Okay.
But obviously, whenever I would have little parties or get-togethers, and being a single young bachelor, shit got spilled on that carpet all the time. So that carpet had to be. I had a guy that I would bring in to clean it, and I felt like I would bring this guy in to clean it like every couple months or whatever. But like literally, when there'd be one stain, I would like try and get down and like clean it to get it out, so it wouldn't be terrible. I didn't have to bring this guy back out, and I legitimately hated cleaning my carpet. I thought carpet was going to be so great having it everywhere in the house, but maybe not so much.
Matt graciously included Shannon in his book.
That's a Matt fact.
Yes, it is. Matt is Shannon's idol.
That's kind of a Matt fact. I think he idolized me because I helped him get on TV, and I helped get him a spot, and I would always give him good content to do.
Mattitude will make WrestleMania a success. Did that make WrestleMania 19 a success?
I think so. Mattitude really made the opening match a success.
Yes, it did.
Which I loved. You know, as I've said too, it was a sprint. We got some time cut from us right from the jump. Rey Mysterio, one of my all-time favorite opponents to wrestle against. But I do feel like that match was a successful outing. So I do feel like Mattitude made that outing and that WrestleMania segment a success.
Matt is very humble.
That's a Matt fact.
So, kayfabe, probably a little Matt fiction. In reality,
kayfabe, huge Matt fiction.
In reality, very much a Matt fact.
That was one of my favorite Matt facts too. It was so simple, and it just Matt is very humble, which just sounds like such bullshit for this delusional hill to say. You know, it's like the ultimate get underneath the fan skin.
Matt is the star of the Hardy Boys book.
I think there's 2 stars in the Hardy Boys book, myself and Jeff. So we can almost say that as Matt fact.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, it kind of is in the eye of the beholder. You're right.
All right, I'm curious about this one. Matt has a valuable Spider-Man comic book collection.
Matt fact.
Do go into detail here.
I have Amazing Spider-Man number 5. I have Amazing Spider-Man number 7. I have a number 13 in a mint condition.
Wow.
I can't remember all the numbers, but that was my jam. Whenever I was a comic book collector, it was Spider-Man. And
who's the best on-screen Spider-Man, Matt?
Oh boy, what a question.
Is it Toby? Is it Andrew? Or is it Tom Holland?
Oh boy. I mean, I love Toby just because of the first few movies. I really did. But then it was Andrew who was in the Avengers movies as well.
Tom Holland. Tom Holland was.
That was Tom Holland. Then yeah, you're right. Tom Holland. I did like his performance as well. I thought he was really good. The way he came off very kid-like, and especially the interaction he had with Tony Stark with Iron Man.
Did you see No Way Home?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Oh my goodness, Matt! You have to go out of your way. It will.
I've heard great things about it, but no, I haven't seen
for
it.
a diehard Spider-Man fan, that's everything you need. Producer Dom says a near mint Spider-Man 5 sells for $14,850.
Yeah, mine too. Dom, if you got there, you can look it up. Mine was like in a good condition. I found this. It was crazy. I found it in this comic book shop that I would go into, and I got like a great deal on it. And it was in like a good condition. I probably bought it in 88, maybe 89, something along those lines, I would say. Yeah, there you go. It's like in a good condition. Yeah, $325. So the how about the 13? If you've got that, because the 13 is in a near mint condition.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So that was like the debut of Mysterio.
That is just insane money. Mysterio was in the second Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. That's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Very good. I love Spider-Man, man. Spider-Man's right up there with Batman for me.
Yeah, Spider-Man was my guy growing up.
Yeah.
You know, and not until like the Avengers movie started, and once Tony Stark was played by Robert Downey. Iron Man was like my guy who I really was attracted to during all the movies in the franchise.
All right, let's keep going here. We got some more rapid fire ones. This one is indisputably true. Matt is appearing in his 4th WrestleMania.
Yes.
And Matt often wonders how they did WrestleMania without him. That is a great one.
That's a great heel Matt fact for sure.
That is a great one.
There we go. Dom pulled up for that Spider-Man 13, 10,500. So I do have that.
Okay, well, if you want to make big money, Matt, even more money, there's your outlet right there, my friend.
You're right.
All right, let's see here. Matt was the only Hardy to wrestle at WrestleMania this year. That is Matt fact. We talked about that on the V1 episode, so go check that out. Matt has read his book 12 times.
That's probably Matt fiction. I did read through the book. I spent so much time doing it. As we talked about, Jeff was very burnt out during this time. I literally did like 85% of the book to Jeff's 15, probably.
Wow.
I actually told Jeff stories, like a lot of the guy who was our shadow writer, a lot of Jeff's stories. I was the one that like recalled the stories and explained it to the guy. Like I worked with that guy overtime. I worked overtime on this book. I'll never forget. I was doing the book with this guy, which was like a full-time job. I was wrestling full-time, and I was also building my house, dealing with a contractor. I had a lot going on during that time. It was a very busy time in my life.
Matt thinks his match at WrestleMania was the best.
I would say that's Matt fiction. I did think it was really good. We were handcuffed a little bit because they cut us short on time, but I'll go Matt fiction for that one.
Matt sleeps in the nude, which you confirmed to us just before.
I did, especially in that day and age. That was my gig, man.
Matt's book is a New York Times bestseller, of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Matt is currently the longest reigning singles champion on SmackDown. That was Matt fact as well.
That was a Matt fact at that time, yes.
This one's a little lazy here. Matt really digs his book. We already established.
That was one of Kevin Dunn's.
Okay.
There's two. Matt really digs his book, and then the other one was, have you read Matt's book, which I was apoplectic about.
That's coming up soon.
Yeah.
The other one was Matt's favorite sushi is freshwater eel. I know you love spicy tuna these days, but is freshwater eel still your favorite?
No, it was. I did go through a phase of freshwater eel. No, I'm definitely a spicy tuna or tuna is what I'm going to first and foremost in this day and age.
Matt only uses low-fat salad dressings.
That's Matt fiction. I did that some whenever I was dieting then, but that's changed a lot. Now, like if I eat healthy and I cut out all the bread, I feel like it's worth it to put a little salad dressing, especially the full-fledged salad dressing.
Sure. Matt is dominant at putt-putt golf. I could say that's Matt fiction, or Matt fact rather.
That's a Matt fact. Especially then, whenever I played, that was like we were talking about all the beach trips we would make and whatnot. That was like our big gig. Mm-hmm. We would love to go to the beach, myself and Jeff and all of our friends, and we would play putt-putt. That was like we were so into that. And we'd even play putt-putt on the road sometimes when we were like doing house shows and whatnot.
You take the gaggle to putt-putt at some point on family vacation or anything, you don't go easy on those kids, and you call them out. If you see Maxwell dragging that club and all that, you call them out. It's going to build character.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's my job. I have to mold them. into the human beings they have to be.
Matt has over 46 million Mattitude followers. That sounds like a lot.
That's a lot for sure. That could be Matt fiction.
Okay.
I took a random number and just the religion of Mattitude was growing by leaps and bounds at that time. So that's the number I decided to go with.
Then we had Have You Read Matt's new book? Which
Oh boy,
was not really a fact or a fiction. So
no. And once again, I was like, who did this? What idiot did this? And Kevin Dunn said, I did it. I said, well, no more of these, please.
okay.
You broke the formula.
Yeah.
Like each one starts with like Matt or Matt Hardy or Mattitude. It has Matt. You have to have those 4 letters at the beginning of a Matt fact. If you don't, it's incorrect.
Yeah.
It's bogus.
Yeah.
That's a bogus Matt fact. Strike it from the list.
Yeah. Then he said Matt Hardy invented Mattitude, and that seems to be pretty fairly obvious. So,
yeah, that's a Matt fact.
Okay. Matt hates waking up before noon, which you said to us was Matt fact.
That was a Matt fact in that time.
Matt eats slowly to savor his food. I've had meals with you several times. I never noticed that. So is that fact?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, that maybe used to be more of a Matt fact. A lot of times now, time is of the essence. As now, like in my life, almost every single second of my day is accounted for in some capacity. So I don't exactly have the time to savor all my food like I would like to.
Well, Matt, you just said that time is of the essence. It's always of the essence. So now it's about time for a word from our sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about BetterHelp here. And time is always of the essence for all of us. We're constantly on the go, and we don't often make time to prioritize ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we are so grateful that BetterHelp is partnering with the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy to ensure that you can make the time to take care of yourself. Sometimes life throws us a curveball, and you're really just looking for someone to help you work through it or talk to somebody about that. And that is why BetterHelp is leading the way with digital, virtual, online professional therapy. You get to talk to a licensed professional at your convenience. All you got to do is you go to their website, which we'll tell you about in just a second, and you fill out a questionnaire. They pair you up with a licensed professional that will fit your needs best in less than 48 hours. Then you have the most customizable experience possible. I can't believe that this is really a thing, but you can choose to have a virtual consultation through a webcam. You can opt for a phone call, or you can even do therapy over text if that's what you feel comfortable with. This is some groundbreaking way to make sure that you are getting help. And Matt, you and I did a mental health and addiction episode that we are very proud of, and we're very proud of this sponsorship with BetterHelp.
Yes, very much so. BetterHelp is such an amazing concept. It's such an amazing idea, and I strongly recommend, if there's anyone out there who's feel like they're going through a difficult or challenging time, and you're not sure who to reach out to, or you feel like you don't have anyone to reach out to BetterHelp, and they will help you along.
Yeah, it's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. And you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, or so you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. You can do the messaging, as I said. Getting therapy has never been easier. It's just a few clicks away on your laptop or your phone. And here's the reality, guys. I can speak to this firsthand. With therapy, it can take a few tries to find the right fit for you. And BetterHelp makes it easy and free to change therapists if you need to. That's just a reality, Matt. When you're seeking help, sometimes
yes,
you don't find that right fit right away, but eventually you find that fit that works perfectly to your needs. And BetterHelp can help you do that as well. So make sure that you are heading over to betterhelp.com/Hardy. And we got a great deal. You're going to get 10% off your first month if you just head over to that website. That's betterhelp.com, betterhelp.com/Hardy to get 10% off your first month of online therapy. And Matt, I know that it makes me very proud to have this sponsorship, and I know it would make you very proud to hear that our Extreme Life of Matt Hardy listeners are taking the time to help themselves out here by visiting BetterHelp.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing more important than your health, and that goes both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And this is a great avenue to find help.
and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear from you guys. Tweet at us at Matt Hardy Pod, at Matt Hardy Brand, at Jon Alba. Get in touch with BetterHelp today. BetterHelp.com/Hardy. Okay, let's keep going here, Matt. We've got Matt thinks Tajiri weighs too much to be a cruiserweight.
We were talking about sandbags with slaps and slams with RJ City recently, and I talked about the Hurricane. The Hurricane had nothing on Tajiri, especially if Tajiri happened to not be winning that on that evening. He was very much a sandbag, so he certainly felt like he was too heavy to be a cruiserweight.
I like that a lot. And you said Matt can eat more sushi than Tajiri. I'd say that's probably Matt fact too.
It's probably a Matt fact. Sushi was my jam, especially in that day and age, and it still is.
All right, I'm gonna get mad at you over this one if this is Matt fact. I really hope this is just you being a heel here. I know you don't eat a ton of red meat anymore, but Matt likes his steak medium well.
Yeah, I don't eat a ton of red meat. I would eat stuff medium well. It'd either be medium or medium well. Those were always the way I would eat meat. So there was at one point where that was a Matt fact.
I'll accept medium, but medium well, man, you're really starting to push it there. Especially you're
what how do you like the temperature of your steak?
Rare to medium rare. It's absolute, and I wouldn't even think otherwise. I'd say probably more medium rare, but I've totally done rare before, and I can't imagine.
You like it bloody, huh?
I can't imagine walking into Ribera Steakhouse and ordering a medium well steak there. They'd look at you turning their head sideways, man. I don't know. Did you ever get a jacket?
I do. I have a jacket, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
I had to take it back from Senior Benjamin. He actually stole it from me at one point.
Really?
I dressed him up with my jacket at during Total Nonstop Deletion, and the next thing I knew, it was gone.
Can you believe Gangrel told me that he either lost or sold his Ribera jacket and wished that he had it back? I couldn't believe that. I said, Dave, what are you doing, man? It's like wrestling lore.
Especially back in the day in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, that was a big deal. That was like one of the first places that we really wanted to seek out and go eat at and get a jacket in Japan.
All right, let's keep going here. Matt has more teeth than Benoit. That was Matt fact.
Matt fact indeed.
Matt speaks better English than Funaki.
That's probably a Matt fact.
Okay, probably. Matt knows the capital of all the states. Is that true?
There was one point where I was pretty good at knowing almost all the capitals, but I'm going to declare that as Mad Fiction right now. Okay. I was really good when I was much more when I did that stuff a lot. I was very intrigued by that, especially when we were reading roadmaps. I want to say I was the guy who would navigate. Obviously, Jeff could not do this. I could just put him behind the wheel and tell him what to do, but he couldn't even read a roadmap. And we had to look at these roadmaps so often. I really did. I like familiarize myself with all the capitals of all the states. And there'd be times where we'd be driving on the road and I'd just start naming them to Jeff, and it would really piss him off.
What's the capital of New Jersey?
Oh boy. Is it Trenton?
It is Trenton.
It is
Very
Trenton.
nice. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. Let's see. Matt is taller than Rey Mysterio. That is Matt fact.
Yes. Matt fact.
Also Matt fact. Matt despises traffic.
Yes, very much a Matt fact, especially back in the day, man. Like growing up where I grew up, there was not traffic around. When we would get stuck in this just locked traffic for hours, it would drive me mad. I mean, it would make me more angry than anything else in the world.
Matt is too handsome to wear a mask.
Good. Matt fact.
I'll give you the Matt fact there.
Good little dig at Rey Mysterio and the Lucha.
You were a conquistador at one point.
I did. You're right. But we did pull that mask off pretty quickly after we won the tag titles.
You did. Matt has wrestled on 4 continents.
Well, that's a Matt fiction now because I have expanded. I have wrestled on more continents than just 4.
Matt likes tortilla soup.
Yes, Matt fact.
Okay. Matt's abs are better than Rikishi's.
That'd be a Matt fact.
Yeah. Matt is giving Shannon one more chance. I guess there was some trouble in paradise there.
I think so, yeah. Did I even spell is more spelled with 2 R's, 2 O's?
No, it's just spelled correctly.
Yeah. I think there was a little trouble in paradise, and I was going to make him earn his keep once again.
Gotcha. Matt likes pepper better than salt.
Matt fact for sure.
As Matt fact as well for me. Matt lost his virginity at age 17.
That's a Matt fact. Very true.
Likewise, brother. Matt has never had earrings.
That's a Matt fact also.
Okay.
Never had a piercing.
Matt's beard is better than Benoit's.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Matt fact.
Okay. Matt tans wearing only a sock.
That was a Matt fact for a long time. At the gym I used to go to, and then I actually bought a tanning bed at one time in my first house, and or in my house when I first built it. But I would literally get in the tanning bed naked and just like cover up my goods with the sock.
The Hardy family jewels.
And the Hardy family jewels. And I really did that. That's also a very popular Matt fact too. People find that Matt fact pretty entertaining.
Mattitude is considered sacred in Japan. It sounds like that is Matt fact.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Once again, Mattitude drew a lot of inspiration from Japan and Japanese culture.
Matt has beaten Ray and Billy at consecutive pay-per-views.
That was a Matt fact. No way out in WrestleMania.
There you go. Look at you. Again, recall, man.
Recall.
Matt's least favorite sushi is sea urchin.
That was a Matt fact. I remember having that and I thought it was terrible. It was like, oh my God, what a terrible sushi experience.
This one might be Matt fiction. Matt Hardy is the attraction of the sports entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's definitely Matt fiction.
Okay. Matt hates bar fights. You saw plenty of them up close in person there in your days with your boy. So,
yeah, for sure, especially Shane Helms. Between Shane Helms and Marty Garner, I've been in hundreds of bar fights, those scenarios. This actually was posted, this Matt fact, on a pay-per-view where it was like the APA had this special bar fight segment at the pay-per-view. I don't know if you remember that, but I know the APA were in it. Zach Gowen was in it.
yes.
Shannon. And I was like, oh, this is so dumb, this bar fight. And I hated being part of that segment. I think if my recall is correct, and I think it served me correct. And I was like, Matt hates bar fights. So that was a little bit of an inside jab, but I wasn't happy to be in that segment.
Yeah, I envisioned that was probably the case. I believe that. And I just, it worked for the APA for them to do that stuff, but it was a lot of tomfoolery.
Yeah.
Let's keep going here. Matt's favorite season is summer. That's probably Matt fact, right?
It's a Matt fact.
Okay. Matt is twice the wrestler Zach Gowen is. Is that a leg pun there, Matt Hardy?
That is a leg pun, yes.
Okay.
So in some ways that is a Matt fact.
Okay. Matt loves corduroy clothing.
That is a Matt fact. Corduroy, which the song about Pearl Jam is probably something that motivated me for that. But there was a point where you can see there's one point when the Hardy Boys come out and I'm like wearing this corduroy jacket out, and then I drop it right when I come out. And we had like the toboggan zone. But there was a point where I would like rock that corduroy jacket out right from the beginning. And I'm not even sure what I was trying to accomplish with it. I liked it so much. And I would like wear corduroy jackets all the time that would have a zipper on it without a shirt, especially when it was cool, like fall, or maybe like once we're starting to come out of the winter season. I would just wear that long sleeve corduroy jacket, and I would zip it up like halfway and like leave it open and exposed, almost like the Big Money Matt with the corduroy jacket. But I was a big mark for this corduroy clothes.
Let's get to some more here. Let's try to do some rapid fire so we can get to the fan ones. Matt despises standstill traffic. I feel like we already established.
Matt fact.
Matt puts ketchup on one fry at a time.
Matt fact.
Wow. Okay. That's a little sociopathic.
I got that from Jason Arndt from Joy Abs.
Oh, okay, Joey.
He would open the ketchup packet and he would just do one at a time.
That's insane.
And a lot of times I'll take 2 or 3 now and do it. But I am of that style, as opposed to like dipping it. I just put it on, especially with the packets. If it's the packets, it's one or just a couple at a time.
Matt is a better commentator than Michael Cole.
It's probably Matt fiction. But
Would
it was
you ever do commentary?
Fun for that day. Yeah, I was doing commentary whenever that Matt fact.
No, I'm saying, would you ever do commentary like in the future? Was that something that interests you or not really?
Maybe so. I think so. I think the more my verbal skills improve, the better they are. I think it's something I'd be open to. I'd be open to anything.
Matt sleeps on his side.
Yeah, that's still pretty much a Matt fact, yeah.
Matt's fortune cookies always predict success.
I think fortune cookies in general predict success, or they usually is pretty good stuff. I always was, hoping like, oh my God, am I ever going to break open a fortune cookie? It says, you shall die in an auto accident tomorrow. There's never bad fortune cookies like that, at least. That's a positive.
Yeah.
But yeah, they usually did predict something that was pretty successful.
Matt has never lost his cell phone.
Well, that was a Matt fact at the time, but
Yeah, there's no way that's fact.
yeah, that is Matt fiction now. I have lost a cell phone now.
Okay. Matt's pants are hipper than Ray's.
Yeah, it was a Matt fact to me.
Okay.
It was still real to me, damn it.
This is a good one. Matt's opponents often no-show from fear.
Yeah. Do you know what match this was on? This was when Zach Gowen, I went to the ring to face Zach Gowen, and he didn't show up because Brock had thrown him down the stairs or whatever.
Yes, he threw him down the stairs.
Yeah. So I just said, oh, they often
show
show from fear. Yeah. He just didn't show up. He was afraid.
Matt has the memory of an elephant.
That used to be a Matt fact. It's not as appropriate or as strong as it used to be, but it's okay.
Into September 03 here. Matt and Shannon have more Mattitude than their opponents. That is Moore.
Yeah. That's I knew there was one that had a play on his name.
Yes.
Sure. Matt fact.
Okay. Matt enjoys ginger root after eating sushi.
Matt fact. I still do. I actually posted something just the other day about that. We actually had sushi and I was eating ginger root at the end. I just did a video of like holding up the ginger root, looking at it, going, thumbs up. And I put that, I quote tweeted on top of that Matt fact that Matt enjoys ginger root after sushi.
Matt rarely uses turning signals.
Definitely a Matt fact then. I'm much better about that now.
I hope so.
I don't want to get yelled at by my Puerto Rican wife.
I hope so. Matt's home entertainment system requires 5 remotes. That is so oddly specific that I bet it's true.
Yeah, that was a Matt fact. That is when I first had my house together, and there was a VCR, a DVD player, there was a satellite, there was the TV, there was an audio board with just an outrageous amount, and each one of them took a different remote. And I just ran with it.
Matt has wrestled with strep throat.
That is a Matt fact.
Matt hates taking medicine.
That was definitely a Matt fact then. I'm much. That's probably a Matt fiction now because if I do get sick, I'll take medicine first and foremost. I'll try and knock it out.
Good. Matt has gotten 4 speeding tickets.
Yeah, that was true. And I think since then I've maybe got one more, but that was over 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Like I haven't gotten any kind of ticket, gotten any kind of trouble in a long, long time. I've been a good boy.
Matt has gone out of over 20 tickets.
Gotten out of all those tickets. Yes, that was good. And I put those back to back. That was very important to make that Matt fact. Yes. Because there'd be a lot of times like, oh, I'm so sorry, officer. We're heading to the show. He said, I thought you're that Matt Hardy, the wrestler, right? All right, well, cool. You need an escort there? Just be safe.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah.
I could have used that one. I got a ticket once for going 38 and a 35. That would have been nice to have.
You got a 38?
Dude, I went 38 and a 35 and got a ticket.
And you got a ticket?
And I got a ticket and I had to go to court and the judge still slapped me with the ticket. It was unbelievable.
That's outrageous. Why? Where was that?
That was in Jersey. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity.
I'm very much, when I drive now, if I'm going somewhere, if the speed limit is 55 or 65, I usually set my cruise like 5-6 miles over and just kind of rock and roll and just do my thing. To get a ticket for 3 miles over and have to go to court is outrageous.
And it was slow speed too. It was 38 over 35. I was 19 years old and it was 1 a.m. It was unbelievable. But Matt fact, John was very upset about that one.
I'm sure,
Matt isn't afraid to eat alone in public.
Matt fact.
Okay. Matt likes portobello mushrooms.
Matt fact.
Good call. Those are tasty.
Yeah.
Matt is annoyed by stupid questions.
Matt fact.
Okay. Matt always drinks diet soda.
That used to be a Matt fact. Even like I said,
you're drinking a ginger ale right now. I see.
Yeah, you're right. I said, but that's where the last couple of weeks I've tried to cut out diet soda and sodas in general, and I actually just went and grabbed some food to eat, and the only thing they had, everything was closed with waters and stuff. So I just wanted something with some sort of taste besides just water, and a ginger ale was all they had. So I scooped it up. Ginger ale
is all good in my book. Matt still has his tonsils. I don't have mine. Do you?
I do no longer.
Okay.
That is now Matt fiction. Tonsils are gone.
When did those come out?
That was probably,
This is 03 here.
yeah. Just when they were in flame. I don't know. A few years after that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Matt dreads wintertime, which we have been proven multiple times here. Is
Yeah.
Matt fact.
That fact.
Matt cannot be grossed out. You saw Michael Hayes projectile urinate over a stall onto your brother.
Yeah, I did. And I think that's a mad fact. It's really hard to gross me out. I'll be honest. The only thing, and I probably shouldn't even share this, but I'm going to.
Okay.
Is it things that are really sharp, small objects? I have like this weird phobia that they can stick in my eye.
Dude. Okay, so like breaking fourth wall here.
Yeah.
We're taping this after the barbed wire shark cage match on Dynamite the week prior. Because, man, I have a very busy travel week this week. Chris Jericho's eye nearly got poked out by a chair. And I know you didn't get a chance to see the full match yet.
Oh, yeah.
But a chair wrapped in barbed wire went airborne, and it landed right on his face. And the edge landed. And I like held my breath that he didn't have his eye poked out by that. So I feel that aversion very much so.
Yeah. That is definitely something that I've always... that I've just always been super paranoid about. Just like if there's even something sharp or whatever, like just it going in my eye. I don't know why that's a weird thing, but that is probably what would gross me or freak me out more than anything in the world.
We're on the home stretch here, Matt. Matt has survived 5 car wrecks.
Yeah, that is actually a Matt fact, and I think we moved that number up a little more after that. I think it's at 7 or 8 right now.
Matt likes Monday better than Thursdays. This would appear to be a Raw versus SmackDown.
Yes, and that was. I just moved to Raw, I think, at that time. So I guess that was a Matt fact at the time.
That was November 17th, so it would have been right around Survivor Series, in fact.
Right.
December, Matt is more handsome than Christian. Obviously, Matt fact.
Oh God. That's why even ask that? Obviously, everyone knows that's a Matt fact.
I don't even hear stories about Matt Hardy having a blue dot put on his face.
Never.
Never have heard that.
Never.
Christian?
That's all he deserves.
Yes. Matt's fingernails grow quickly.
Yeah, they do. They do. They've always grown very quickly. As I got older, I started using biotin. Biotin was like a supplement I take pretty regularly, just for hair growth too. But they also make your fingernails grow like crazy. And my fingernails already grow very rapidly.
That's. Are you a nail biter?
No, I'm not. But I do have to cut my nails. I feel like every few days.
Nail biting is my nervous tick. That's the only nervous tick that I have. So.
Gotcha.
Matt utilizes toilet seat covers.
For a while that was definitely a Matt fact, especially around that time. I remember like just even being in airports or traveling restaurants, I would always like put out that little toilet seat cover, like you were going to catch something or whatever. But now I'm just all right. I just make sure I wipe it off if someone has urinated on the seat or whatever. I try and clean up a little bit, but then I chalk it up. It helps build my immunity.
Matt is more extreme with an X than Tommy, which I assume would be Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy Dreamer. I don't know. That could be a Matt fact. That could be Matt fiction.
I love that RJ City mentioned that back in the early 2000s, everyone spelled everything with an X or a Z. And then around 03, they decided, oh, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, with a Z.
This one you just confirmed a couple weeks ago for us. Matt's first job was at a car wash.
That is Matt fact, yeah.
Matt has never lost a credit card.
That is Matt fact.
Okay.
I've never lost a credit card.
That's great.
I have had some that have been obviously like compromised because someplace did whatever or somebody else picked it up, where I've had to change the number, but I've never lost a credit card.
Matt prefers the window seat on airplanes. I hope that's Matt fact because, in my opinion, anyone that doesn't like the window is out of their mind.
Yeah, that's a Matt fact.
Okay, good. I don't understand how people don't want to just be able to try to hide as far as possible into the side of the plane and not interact with anybody else. But you guys are first class seat stealers, so
yeah, you're right. Either first class or no class. That's the only way I apply now.
Hey, this one's definitely true. Matt loves Mongolian barbecue.
Oh my God, so true. Yeah, and I hate. There was a Mongolian barbecue place that I loved, and it freaked my wife out. She's very paranoid about like buffets and stuff like that. She's very picky and peculiar about her food. But like the pandemic
Yeah.
kind of like killed all that stuff.
Yes, they did.
Is one of my favorite places. It was in Cary, right on the way to the airport. This great Mongolian barbecue place killed it dead.
Oh, that sucks. Let's see here. Matt's countertops are all granite.
That was matte fact at the time. But
Okay.
now they've been changed. Now my house has been totally redone
Now
by
your house
by the lovely Rebecca Hardy.
Now your house is the haunted mansion.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt still has his appendix.
That is Mad Fiction.
Yeah, you put a spell on yourself on that one, man.
Yeah, for sure. That was 2008-ish that came out.
That must have been brutal.
That was brutal too because I was at the building. I felt super sick the night before. I couldn't sleep that night, kept waking up, and then the next day I just felt hysterical as it was. And I was like, well, let me go to work. We were doing TV on this day. Let me go to work and talk to the doctors and see what's going on, see if they can give me something that can help me out, whatever. And I remember just like driving, feeling like I was going to pass out, driving to the venue. I want to say I was in Tampa. We'll see how good my recall was. You could probably dig that up. And then I end up going to the hospital in Tampa. They say, oh, well, you seem pretty sick. We should probably take you to the hospital. And once we go to the hospital and they do scans on me and they look and they see that my appendix is already ruptured and I'm starting to go septic internally, they say, we have to rush you into surgery right now. I mean, it was like brutal. I remember driving to the venue thinking I was going to pass out at stoplights.
Yeah, WWE.com actually even put an article up about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they did. Because they made it kayfabe. They said after the vicious attack at the hands of United States Champion MVP last week on SmackDown and missing Survivor Series, things took a turn for the worse for Matt Hardy's well-being when he arrived in Tampa. WWE.com spoke to Matt Hardy moments ago, and the SmackDown superstar was in good spirits and thankful that WWE trainers and Tampa General Hospital doctors were able to identify and correct the appendicitis that could have greatly threatened his health. They said the surgery lasted between 60 and 90 minutes. The appendix had already ruptured, and the toxins from that rupture were poisoning your body.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, I was like, it was brutal. I mean, I had been sick I had felt like shit for almost 24 hours at that point.
When asked about his former partner and possibility that MVP's attack led to the bursting of his appendix and subsequent surgery, Hardy paused for a moment and then responded with a firm no comment.
What a weird statement even, but do you think MVP did this?
Got a kayfabe, man.
Oh my God.
November 21st, 2007, that is. So You're close on that. That's really funny. I mean, it's not funny that your appendix burst, but it's funny how they tried to kayfabe that.
For sure.
Matt is a fan of miso soup.
That is Matt fact.
Okay. Matt has never run out of gas while driving.
A Matt fact.
Okay. Matt's chest hair grows swiftly.
Matt fact. Once again, the nails and the hair grows very swiftly.
Matt loves getting stuff for free.
Oh, that's a Matt fact for sure. Who doesn't love getting stuff for free?
Seriously. Free 99, as you used to say.
Yeah, man.
Matt has status on 5 airlines.
Yeah, that was a Matt fact at the time before all the airlines started consolidating and they all became 2 or 3.
I'm booking you on flights into Newark out of Jacksonville. Oh, God, that night you called me.
Yeah.
North Carolina to Newark to Jacksonville. Holy moly. That is earning those United miles, man. Matt has exceptionally long eyelashes.
Matt fact. Oh, my kids have very long eyelashes too. And like Rebby's so envious. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. At least the kids got your eyelashes. You have these long eyelashes that like girls would die for. At least all the kids got them.
I mean, your daughter is a clone of you. So
I hear that. I hear that so much. I don't see it as much as everyone else does. But
she is. Cool. And so is Wolfie too. Wolfie is also.
Yeah.
Matt has exceptionally long eyelashes. I just said Matt's house has 4 bathrooms.
Yeah, that was a Matt fact at that time, but now actually it has grown. It actually has 6 bathrooms now.
Oh, okay. All right, we got a few more here. Matt's kitchen appliances are all stainless steel. Only the best for you, Matt Hardy.
That was a Matt fact, but once again, my house has been redecorated in full, courtesy of the lovely Rebecca Hardy.
Okay. Matt likes his eggs cooked over easy.
I do. I like them scrambled a lot too, but I like over easy eggs if I have grits with it. Have you ever eaten grits, John?
Yeah,
You a
I've had
grits guy?
grits. Yeah, I've had grits.
But like an over easy egg and grits and mixed up with some pepper on it. Oh, I love it.
Well, if you listen to the Lives of Wrestling podcast, which I know you do, you know
Yes.
that I absolutely hate eggs with every fiber of my existence. They are the only food in the world I will not touch, and I cannot do it under any circumstance. So,
Interesting.
yeah, grits or not. Matt paid cash for his home. That is Matt Fact, correct?
That is a matter of fact, yeah.
Okay. Matt has more money than you do. For a lot of people, that's probably Matt Fact too.
Yeah, for a certain amount of people, that's a matter of fact.
Okay. Matt never irons his clothes.
That's pretty much a matter of fact, yeah.
I bring my steamer everywhere I travel. I steam. I don't iron. Yeah. Matt occasionally cheats on his diet.
That's a matter of fact.
Okay. This is a great one. Matt is ridiculously underrated.
Matter of fact, that's it.
That's the premise of this podcast, man. That's
yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. That's the whole basis of this podcast. Yeah.
He's pretty underrated, that guy.
Right.
This podcast happened. So that's good.
You just don't understand. How's he been making money for 25 years?
I don't know. I tried to figure that out. That was
what the hell?
That was my hypothesis, trying to get to the thesis here. Matt Hardy has made money. I need to find out how he did it.
I love that too. I'm going to throw this out here too. You know, people would love to they'll hit that like, oh, just shut up, Matt Hardy and Christian and whichever one of the Street Profits. They said you guys are just the Marty Jannetty. Like, I don't think you understand what you're talking about here. Like, just because one guy is maybe not as over, like I have made more money in my career and I am like so successful in life and all. It's just like you can't just compare that Marty Jannetty. You just can't make that comparison to like anyone. It just doesn't apply. It is just like such a very broad comparison that they'll try and throw it on a tag team that is a famous tag team that has one guy that's a little more popular than the other or more popular than the other. You know, immediately they go to, hey, you're the Marty Jannetty. I don't think you understand like how Marty Jannetty, like, to say this as nicely as possible, Marty Jannetty did a lot of poor decision making throughout his career, and that's what ultimately led him into being who he is. Someone like me, who's been doing this for 25 years and have been making money for 25 years, like, it's pretty successful, dude. Just so you know, I'm very happy to have that title if that's who you think I am. But when I go home, it doesn't change my life one iota. That is the Matt Hardy word.
You mentioned the Street Profits. People are saying that about Angelo Dawkins because I assume that's who you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
I just saw a big thread about that recently.
That's insanity. Angelo Dawkins is incredibly talented, and he's really, really good. But, I mean, it's also true. I mean, Montez Ford blows my mind every time I watch him. I would have loved to have seen a prime Hardy Boys and Street Profits match. That would have been a hell of a tag team match.
Right.
So, yeah, that's so stupid. I hate that too. That's ridiculous. Let's see. We got Matt has 4 different phone numbers.
There was a time where I did. Yeah, there was a Matt fact there. Because not only because I had 2 phones myself, and then I actually bought a phone for my dad, and then I also had which was still under my name. He just had a cell phone. I got him that on my plan, and then I had a home phone as well. So I did have 4 different phone numbers, which seems very outrageous, but it is something I had going on at the time. So that was a Matt fact.
Matt is a fan of thin crust pizza.
Matt fact for sure. Bob's Pizza represent, and I'm glad the boys love it too. And once again, my wife is very. Oh, come on, thin crust pizza? Like, what the fuck? This isn't how they do it in New York. Come on, you got to have the crust. That's an important part of the pizza.
New York is traditionally thinner crust, though. So that's interesting.
She likes them. She likes them a little bigger though. She likes a regular pizza.
Okay.
Like, for instance, she'll have her dad, Senior Benjamin, get the kids pizza all the time at Little Caesars, and anytime they get the thin crust pepperoni, they always eat it like exponentially better than the other one that has a thick crust because there's just so much bread.
Yeah,
it's like, get the thin crust pizza.
Where is the best pizza in the United States, in your opinion? In your well-traveled tome of your career, where is the best pizza?
I mean, I'm gonna say Bob's Pizza. I mean, it's been there, but it predates me, you know, in our area, and they just have like a thin crust pizza, and just their thin crust pepperoni pizza with extra pepperoni is my favorite pizza in the world.
You a clam guy?
I eat clams,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Not massive, but clams are okay.
Next time you're in Bridgeport for AEW, or you're in Hartford, or you're in Boston,
Hmm.
you go to Frank Pepe's, which is a New Haven-based. It's one of the oldest pizzerias in the country. I think it popped up in like 1929, and they've
Uh-huh.
got some other pizzerias throughout that general area. Frank Pepe's. They have a white clam pizza that is in the
Oh
top
boy.
5 of things that I've ever eaten in my entire life.
I mean, color me intrigued.
And
That sounds interesting.
next time, if you're in the area, I'll make it happen for you.
All
That's
right.
that's where it's at, man. Matt has broken his nose 3 times.
Yeah, that was a mad fact at the time, but I think it's moved up to 5 at a minimum.
Matt never over orders in restaurants.
That's mad fiction for sure.
Okay. Matt has 44 different action figures. That's got to be a whole lot more now.
Yeah, I want to say that was Matt fact at the time, but yeah, that has obviously grown into a much more massive number.
Matt always meets his deadlines.
That's often a Matt fact, but it has been broken, so we'll label it as Matt fiction.
That's fair. Matt believes in karma.
I'd say it's kind of a Matt fact. In reality, I'll go a little deeper in this. Like my wife, like is very interested in like witches and spells and stuff like that.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking, I'm sure. But like that's something. And I've came into this. People talk about different curses or karma, or religion, whatever. And sometimes people say, "Oh, Matt, what do you believe?" And I go, "Reality." And that is something that I'm very consistent about right now. Like reality, like karma as a concept. I think is pretty cool, especially like with the thing I'm currently doing. But like I at the end of the day, Matt believes in reality.
Okay. Matt is not afraid of pain.
Yeah, that's a matter of fact.
Yeah, you talked about your tooth pain tolerance a couple weeks ago, so I get
Yeah.
that. Matt hates seltzer water.
That was definitely a Matt fact at that time, and I still don't really like seltzer water that much now.
Yeah, it's kind of bland.
Yeah.
Matt is not a morning person. That seems to be confirmed here.
Yeah.
Matt enjoys margaritas.
Mm, that used to be a Matt fact back when I was a drinker.
Gotcha. And the last one here, Matt. Matt doesn't waste time making his bed.
That's definitely a Matt fact. I was actually thinking about doing a video, and maybe I will in the hotel. Like I'm getting up and I'm just like look back at the beds there, and I pick up the blanket and I just throw it in. Forget about it, and just quote tweet it.
Well,
these things that are real, I like to stress that they're real.
Yeah, stress them, man. Put it over. Well, we asked you guys to send in some too, and we got some fun ones here. All right. This one's from Michael. He says, although Matt is athletic and talented in and out of the ring, he doesn't moonlight on his off days as a minor league pitcher. And there's a screenshot of Matt Hardy, who pitches for the Nashville Sounds, the AAA affiliate of the Brewers.
Right.
So, and producer Dom responded to that and said, why do you think he's head down to StarCast events? The man has a header. They get that
very witty, Dom. Very witty.
Yes. Richie says Matt has solved 3 different types of Rubik's cubes in under a minute. Yeah, what do you think about that one?
Yeah,
that sounds a little far fetched.
Yeah, under a minute is a pretty extreme time.
Well, here's
those
one.
Rubik's cube, the Rubik's cubes. The times that I did solve them, I mean, they took days and weeks. It was just like a work in progress.
Gotcha. This one's definitely Matt fact. Matt helped make TLC what it is today, along with his brother and Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and even has its own pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's definitely a Matt fact.
Matt is a damn fine tailor. That comes from your boy Matty P.
Yeah. That was a Matt fact, I guess, back in the day. Whenever I would make gear, I mean, I would assume that's what he's referring to.
Okay. Matt and Jeff's sibling relationship is a lot healthier than that of the Undertaker and Kane's.
Well, we've technically never tried to burn one another's homes, except in storyline capacity. So yeah,
wait a minute here. Yeah. In storyline capacity, fire did get involved.
Yeah.
So Dalton says Matt has never broken a guitar string.
I'd say that's a Matt fact because I've never played the guitar, so I've never had the chance to break a guitar string.
Here's a great one from one of our ad-free shows guys, Jordan. says, Matt, fact, typewriters do not exist in the broken universe as there's only a way to backspace.
I like that. Very witty, Jordan.
From Gladys, Matt enjoys white chocolate mochas made with skim milk from Starbucks.
She's kind of on it. That's a half-ass bit of a Matt fact for sure.
Rana says Matt is the pioneer of wrestling YouTube reality shows.
Yeah, that's kind of a half-ass Matt fact.
Okay. Bowl says Matt hates peas.
No, it's Matt fiction. I enjoy peas.
Okay. The Alex Wrestling Podcast Network. Matt fact. Matt believes that pineapple on pizza is a waste of time and money.
I'm okay with pineapple on pizza. So I'm okay with it, especially if it's like a Hawaiian pizza with a little ham and pineapple. It's not something I would like go out of my way to eat, but I would eat that. That's acceptable.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's pretty polarizing around the streets, man.
No, I know. There's a lot of discussion about that pineapple on pizza.
It's a definitely not something that you see a whole lot of people on board with. But does Bob's have a pineapple pizza?
They can put pineapple on the pizza if you would like it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sometimes my wife gets pineapple pizza. She likes pineapple on pizza.
Your boy Coach Rosie, who's very excited to meet you at StarCast, says Matt Hardy was a top baseball player throughout his youth.
Matt fact.
That is Matt fact. We talked about that
on
a previous episode because you, of course, Matt Hardy, you loved the Atlanta Braves back in the day.
Yeah.
And you played, you were the third baseman, correct?
Yeah, third base. Play a little bit of shortstop.
That's good stuff there, man. And we got one more here, and it's apropos from Scott. Matt likes it when you give the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy a 5-star review.
That is a Matt fact. 5 times over. Good job.
That was good. He hit it just the exact same way that you do as well. And as always, I told you I want you guys to send in your reviews. Send them to us. We'll read a couple on air. Perfect show for Hardy fans. This is from Philip Film Buff. Matt Hardy's been my favorite wrestler since 1999. It was always delightful to hear him in other podcasts, and now I get to listen to his own show on a week-to-week basis and has become my favorite wrestling podcast.
Oh, man.
His passion and takes on wrestling are interesting and come from a mind that has a true love for wrestling. As I said in person during a photo shoot with the Hardy Boys, thank you for getting me into wrestling. That's a 5-star review.
Yeah, what a great review. Thank you so much for those kind and generous words. Myself and John very much appreciate it.
Very much so. And then we always encourage you guys to head on over to boxofgimmicks.com. Get your Extreme Life of Matt Hardy swag, Matt Fact, Matt Fiction. You can get the shirt after we talked about it here today. Yeah. The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy shirt, Spoken Matt Hardy, and of course our favorite Let It Play Out. Matt Hardy, did you have a lot of fun going through the Matt Facts here today?
I did, yeah. This was great. It was a great stroll down memory lane and revisiting a lot of these Matt Facts. It was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we did this episode.
Me too. And next week I am throwing myself into the fire. It is Rebecca Hardy, my favorite Hardy. We will be discussing her influence on your life. And I actually think it's going to be a really special episode.
I do too. I'm excited for this one.
Because what that woman has done for your life, it can't be stated by anyone. It's truly can only be spoken from a Boricua from Queens.
For sure.
And hopefully we can make that happen. So
you got it.
I can't wait to see you at StarCast, my friend. It's going to be a blast. We're going to get that live show again, starcast.com and Fight TV carrying the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy live. Anything else you'd like to say to our friends here, Matt?
No, I'm just excited to meet everyone at StarCast this weekend. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for supporting the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Myself and John, we take a lot of pride in doing it. So thank you guys for supporting us.
That we certainly do. The words have been spoken. We'll see you next time here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Deletion! My skin's dying because you're under